Hello there, Price of Reason here with a special announcement. Those of you that have been following my channel, whether it's my main one or my live one, for however long, you probably know that Quantum Leap, growing up, was one of my favorite TV shows. I've always been a fan of time travel, and outside of movies like Back to the Future, Quantum Leap really was something special for me. It was also a high quality show with great acting, with great writing, with great storytelling. And then in 2022, they decided that they wanted to not reboot, make a sequel, quote unquote sequel series to the original show. Initially, it was rumored that Scott Bakula was reading a script and that he may be involved, but ultimately he decided he didn't want to be involved in the show. And even though he's very polite and he said it very nicely, it sounded like he didn't want to be involved in it because this show wasn't very good. And then actually, I watched the pilot episode, and the pilot episode was terrible. It was a complete disaster. So many things about it were wrong. Uh, Let me see if I can find my original video just so you see the thumbnails and everything, what I did there. Today, by the way, it often comes up when people look for a review about that the new Quantum Leap. It often comes up, and usually when it comes up, I'm sure it doesn't make okay, here it is. Let me see right now. I'm going to share my screen. Hey guys, whoever showed up, Kaiwan, Ted, Tornadoes, hey, great to see you. I'm going to share my screen just to show you. This is actually, if you can see the one that says Quantum Leap sucks. This one actually got some pretty good traction at the time. And after that, I would make a lot of these other Quantum Leap review videos. I was one of the only people still making the reviews. Most of the people that liked the original show after they saw the pilot or the original, the first episode of the new series, the 2022 one, they didn't want to continue to watch it. And one of the main criticisms that I've had uh, all the time towards this show is that it took all of the elements that were so great about the original and simply abandoned or destroyed them or just made a mockery of them. And first of all, the fact that the hologram of the leaper was a fiance who was bitter all the time because he leaped, and not only that, he only did the whole leaping thing because she was supposed to be a girl boss, and he was kind of like a thief. He stole her place. Uh, Supposedly, later it turns out in a very poorly written twist that he did it in order to save her life. It is poor writing. It's basically the show was developed initially by disciples of Alex Kurtzman, who himself is a disciple of J.J. Abrams, and nothing good can come out of that. Third generation Abrams will never get your series off the ground. After they, I guess, were doing things poorly, the network decided to bring a guy called Martin Giro and another guy called Dean Gergeris to help them out. And both of these guys, if you have like a cop drama where there's a murder and three suspects and one of them is going to be the murderer, they can write that show. But Quantum Leap is not for them. And unfortunately, they were given the role. And after one season, when the ratings weren't very good, but NBC didn't really have a lot of options to replace that show with, and it wasn't doing bad enough, but it wasn't doing especially good. The right decision then was they needed to just fire those guys, fire anybody involved in the show, and really fix it. Instead, though, they hired a bunch of activists, much like we see now with Disney and with gaming, real activists that started deciding that this was a great platform that they can also shove a bunch of divisive ideologies, very extreme left messaging. And honestly, the show was so poorly written that the fact that there was all that messaging was secondary. Meaning, it's not like it was well written and it was a great show, and then they also tried to shove the messaging, and that maybe threw off some people. No, the show was first of all very poorly written, in some aspects poorly cast, poorly conceived. Instead of having a guy leaping through time, they kept on going through back and forth through present day and the time traveling, and they had this kind of modern day team of laboratory people working on some secret base for the quantum leap program, and they were basically, again, I don't care. It's not that, I always say this. It's not a matter of having diversity on screen. It's a matter of having it when it's not necessary to the story. It's fine if they chose the original guy. That's who they chose to be the leaper. Although even there they did it for different DEI reasons. But let's just say I didn't have anything specific against the guy. He wasn't the worst actor on the show. But for example, Ernie Hudson, I thought he was actually good casting. That was the only good thing about this show. That Ernie Hudson, I really like him, and I think that he could have been well cast in a role like this. But he really had nobody to act with. Maybe if they would have just focused on a show with Ernie Hudson and Raymond Lee as Dr. Ben Song, and they would have followed the idea and the concept of the original show, maybe it would have been worth something. But instead, what they did was they had the diversity and inclusion laboratory team, which included people with pronouns, girl boss, and I don't know what. Again, it's not that I'm saying this because I don't like to see them on screen. At least, I mean, the one that played the security officer lady, I don't have anything against her, and I mean, I don't necessarily think that those guys were the best actors in the world, but it's nothing personal. They were just not necessary to the story, because you don't need to know what's going on in present day. You only need to know what's happening when he travels through time. The whole idea of the hologram and why the original show worked so well is because whatever's happening in present day doesn't matter. The hologram is there trying to help you. And they ruined it from day one. They made it some disappointed woman that he disappointed, and she's upset at him. And that's that. All this family drama, this Days of Our Lives went on for 2 years. It was complete crap. It was really, really a garbage show. I mean, I sometimes I say, well, you try to find the good things in something. There was nothing good to find here. The only good thing I'll say, Ernie Hudson is a good actor, and he deserved better than being in this piece of shit show. But aside from that, everything was a joke. It was a disaster. It was a disaster of a show. It didn't deserve one episode. Somebody should have watched this pilot and never let this show get off the ground, in my opinion. And yeah, and now when I see that it's canceled, let's just look at an article. What they're saying here. I had that article a second ago, but let's see if I can find it. Okay, I think this is it. Yeah, I hope you guys are still with me, and hope it's okay that I'm ranting. I'm just sharing my thoughts here. Again, somebody's writing here in the comments that the show is a bit woke, but truthfully, even if, let's say, with all the wokeness, it wasn't well written. That's the thing, is that it never honored what this show was supposed to be. And what I've noticed over time more and more is that usually there's sort of a kind of a if I had to do a graph, there's a connection between these two things. The more you bring activists in, the more the show starts dwelling on these weird things that have nothing to do with the show and trying to push certain requirements, quotas, or whatever it is. Once you go that route and you don't honor the show and you don't do good storytelling, the show is going to fall apart. So yeah, I mean, honestly, if the show would have been, let's say, this actor that plays Dr. Ben Song, Raymond, with why is this I don't want this stupid commercial. It's still on, isn't it? Okay. Really, I don't even know what that was. In any case, Quantum Leap canceled by NBC after 2 seasons. It's an article that basically they wanted to write an article, but they have nothing to say. NBC has decided not to proceed with a third season of Quantum Leap reboot. It's a sequel series theoretically, but you may as well call it a reboot because it was shit. Starring Raymond Lee. The news comes for more than more than a month after the 2-hour season finale aired in February 20. It wasn't actually a 2-hour season finale. They were burning the episodes because the ratings were crap, and they probably already knew they wanted to get rid of it. But okay. Let's go with this spin. The development is not entirely surprising, as the series from Universal Television had been on the bubble. This is in contrast to last season, when Quantum Leap received a very early renewal in December 2022. A follow-up to the original series, which aired on NBC from 1989-93. Quantum Leap is set in present day. It's been 30 years since Sam Beckett, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's a piece of crap. In addition to Lee, the series stars Ernie Hudson, Caitlin Bass, and Mason whatever. And then here, it doesn't even show any new information. It just shows how these guys, Dean Drageris and Martin Giro, who, again, if you have a cop drama, as I said, 3 suspects, 1 murder, these are your guys. Anything beyond that, it's outside their scope. They're not capable of doing this show. They had no understanding of what this show is. They knew nothing about the lore, about the mythology, about what made it good. And their writing, I'll tell you what they're like as writers. You know how sometimes when you were a kid and you went to school and you had homework or something that you needed to do, but you didn't do it, and quickly, before the teacher arrives, you quickly put something together and hand it in, just so it looks like you did something. That's Martin Giro and Dean Drageris, only with screenplays, writing, and producing a sequel to Quantum Leap. And yeah, it was an absolute disaster of a show. It's a disgrace, and it was rightfully canceled. And usually, you know, I even though most of the people working on this production, or a lot of them, at least the creatives, were these annoying activists that didn't even care about this show, I still will say some of these cast members, I don't have anything against Raymond Lee. You know, I think that there's something that he could do. Did I think that he was the best casting for this role? Not necessarily, but I could tell that in some episodes, when given better material, he was making an effort. Ernie Hudson is great. I have no issue with him whatsoever. He could have been in the show. He's the only thing about this show that I would have kept was Ernie Hudson. And as far as I'm concerned, the rest could have gone. Although, if I was told that I had to work with Raymond Lee, I think there was something to do there. I don't think that he's the worst. All the other people, gone. Unnecessary. We don't need their characters or the actors or anything. And I feel bad if there's people that maybe they don't do this kind of creative stuff. You know, people that are doing more just everyday jobs, the lighting, the camera work, things like that. People that just want to make a living. So in that sense, I don't want to celebrate that people like that lost their job. But as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to sort of a creative dispute that I had with NBC and how they handled this show and how disrespectful they were towards the fan base, much like we've seen with Star Wars, much like we've seen with Star Trek, and with Doctor Who, Quantum Leap did the exact same thing. It's just not as big a franchise as the other ones, as I always say, but it did the exact same thing that all the other ones do, in the worst possible way. And it's justified that it's canceled. They deserve it. There's a part of me that's happy on the creative side, not thinking about people losing their jobs, because that doesn't make me happy, especially, like I said, not the weirdo activist. I mean, there's some people there that just do regular jobs. So in that sense, I'm not happy. But with all that being said, when it comes to justice, creative justice, this show needed to be canceled. Not now. It needed to be canceled after 1 episode. And if by some fluke there were 5 people watching it the first season and they renewed it, they needed to do a complete overhaul. It needed to be a complete course correction. And the funny thing is, you can go to my main channel. You can go to my main channel and watch my videos there. Every episode of that series, especially in the first season, I explained what their mistakes were. I explained wasn't working. I even invited these 2 clowns to come to my show. Clowns, in my opinion, of course. I believe they're clowns. I invited them to come and speak with me so I can explain to them what they're doing wrong. Instead, what they did is other things. Some of them I don't want to mention on this stream, but let's just say that it is my reasonable understanding that some people from this cast and crew or whatever it is saw some of my videos. What would happen is that in order to sort of make sure that there's other people reviewing it, people saying favorable things, these showrunners would go on these channels with I'm not even a big channel, but I'm telling you that as much as I'm not a big channel, even my main one, it's not like I have a million followers. I'm not the critical drinker, but there were channels there with like 3 subscribers, and they were going on there trying to plug their show, hoping that these kind of people friendly to their cause, in some cases maybe they're actual friends, the YouTube algorithm would like these kind of exclusive interviews, and it would place them and put a positive spin on the show. All they had to do was come on one of my streams or one video or anything. I was willing to talk to them. I said it in my video. I said that my door is open, and if they would have talked to me, I would have been able to tell them how they could possibly fix the show for season 2. It would have been drastic, but there was a way to do it, maybe, and they never did it. And it doesn't surprise me. These people, they don't know how to handle criticism. They don't know how to handle fans that are not happy with what they wanted. And I also suspect that there was kind of a DEI, heavy DEI situation here. Just because of some of the people that were involved, and between season 1 and 2, they even doubled down on it. Meaning, instead of fixing the problem, they did some stuff behind the scenes. Certain hires that were very much activism. When I say activism, I'm not saying as a metaphor that they hired people that I think that they're activists. They hired people that, if you go to their biographies, the biographies say that they're activists, and those were the people hired to sort of oversee this thing creatively. Which is why we got these weird episodes, which all this strange stuff was happening, which is the biggest joke. Because let's say the guy leapt, he went to 1950, and there was a woman talking about being gender neutral. This is absolute nonsense. This is not what happens on a time travel show when the guy goes to 50 year to 1950. This is just shoving modern day nonsense into it, and it happened every single episode. They couldn't help themselves. They did the same thing over and over again. And yes, the show was a piece of crap. It was shit. If there was ever a show that really deserved it, I mean, yes, okay, Star Trek Discovery as well, and some people like Strange New Worlds, and that's fine. I think that should end also. Anything with Kurtzman involved should be ended immediately. But with that being said, the show is canceled, and I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and I hope. I mean, I'm just saying this because it's not true. I would hope the networks would learn a lesson of how not to remake or not to continue a franchise, and maybe start learning how to do it in a way that actually honors fans. When this show premiered, it actually had a nice turnout of people, and I think that had they brought Scott Bakula in and maybe did something that really honors the original, including the fact that he had a daughter. There were different things that could have been done, even with all of their kind of a girl boss thing. He had a daughter, but they didn't even go that route. They wanted to go their stupid, whatever it is that they do, and they got exactly what they deserved. And it's a shame, because this is I think that this franchise, it has kind of like a cult following. Yes, it's not as big as Star Trek or Star Wars or Doctor Who, but it's a good franchise. There was something to do, something to work with here, and they fumbled it. So I guess that's me ranting. At the end of the day, even though I sound like I'm ranting and that I'm really annoyed, all in all, this is a big positive thing. I think that this show needed to be canceled. I'll tell you one final thing. Those of you that know me from my main channel, I started reviewing season 2 of this show, but after the 3rd episode, I said I'm not reviewing it anymore. It was enough. It was so bad that it was, I basically said it was unreviewable. I ended up starting this channel that you're listening to now. I basically just started doing live streams where I talk about the episode, because I didn't feel like sitting around and editing anything, because it wasn't worthy of my edit time. The most I could do was share my thoughts on it, but actually sit for days and make a video when something is just not even, I couldn't even give it that amount of respect. That's how bad it was. It wasn't even good enough for me to make fun of. That's how bad and miserable and pathetic it was. And the only silver lining, and sometimes when something bad happens, something good comes out of it. This channel, I've been doing a lot of really cool things. We have the Quantum Leap that we go over the classic episodes, even the ones that I kind of review the old ones, and we have other type of streams here. I probably wouldn't have gotten into that if not for that show being so awful. It was so awful that I had to go start another channel that I could sit and just talk freely about how awful it is. And I guess in that sense, something good happened, but I can't really give it credit for being so bad that I did something. Uh, but uh, let me just quickly look, because this is a very quick stream. It was impromptu. I just had my thoughts and I just wanted to share them. But let me look. Ted Harrington, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Tornadoes high. We need to start to save Quantum Leap petition. Save it from what? I mean, save it from the people that ruined it. Well, I mean, could they let a different team? I mean, right now, if they reboot it without him, I don't know if people are going to be on board. Maybe 5, 10 years from now, somebody will do something that's not embarrassing. But this ain't it. Did they cancel the show yet, or is this show pretty good? I wasn't, or no, this show was pretty good. It wasn't as woke. It was woke, but it wasn't bad. Bad, right? I don't quite understand, but I thought it was indeed woke, and that wasn't its biggest problem. Josh Hammond, first time here, just subscribe. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it. Tornadoes, you're right. Brian Ailes, no. I guess he liked the show. The show was so bad it was great. Okay. Ashley Marie, I wanted to like the new show. You know what? I could even highlight people's things. Ashley Marie, I wanted to like the new show, but it was really brutal, though it obviously wasn't going to capture the magic of the original. I wanted to bring home Sam. The show was so bad it was great. I like originals because most sequels are bad. I agree. Richard Brooks, thank goodness the pain is over. I agree, Richard. I liked it, but every time Shakina wrote an episode, I expected to clench. The one they wrote for season 2 plunged the ratings even further. And that is very correct, Grant Wheelwright. What happened is that Shakina was a activist who is an enthusiast of not enthusiast. She is help me out here, guys. She is a transformer who is actually acts in addition to being a transformer, also an activist for Transformers, and she was writing episodes and doing different things. And unfortunately, and again, it's the same thing that I would say. If I would have watched the episodes and they would have been good, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The thing is that anytime she was given this type of creative freedom, it became a situation where she has a certain agenda and she wants to push that agenda exactly where she wants to push it. And it doesn't matter what the mythology, the lore, whatever. And that's why the show looked the way it did. There's really no shortcuts here. They didn't want to fix it. That's right. DMG, the creative team, had a chance to course correct. Then they got a second season and didn't. There's no need to give them another chance. Good riddance. You invited them, but they did other things you don't want to say on the stream. You should name and shame. I'm still catching up. Maybe another network will pick it up. Not to but please not Disney. I don't know. I don't think somebody's going to pick this up. Who knows? Maybe Netflix would want it. But I just don't think it's a good show. It's really not a good show. It's not a situation where, you're saying, well, you're just a fan of the original, so you don't like what they did here. No, this one wasn't a good show. I can say that just objectively, looking at the writing and what they did here, the whole concept, what they were trying to get done here was a complete failure. Your rants are great. Thank you, Tornadoes. Your shows are the best. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. DMG, I was introduced to you ranting about this reboot and stayed for your review of the real Quantum Leap. Thank you and keep it up. Thank you. See, good things did happen. Let's be honest, the show was just bad and never should have been greenlit. I agree. What will be worse, The Acolyte or Quantum Leap? That's a tough one. I think that The Acolyte is going to be really, really bad. It's going to be for Star Wars what this was for Quantum Leap, I assume. But yes, The Acolyte looks terrible. If The Acolyte ends up being good, it'll be one of the most surprising things that I've ever witnessed. But when I look at those commercials and all that kind of CW Jedi stuff, it just doesn't look right to me. Script Doctor, thanks for the DM on this, catching up on the article. So glad it's canceled. Script Doctor, he's here every Thursday when we do... sorry. I'm choking because I'm so happy. On Thursday, we do our classic Quantum Leap streams, and Script is one of my co-hosts for that show. So great to see him here. And yeah, I mean, Script, like me, grew up watching Quantum Leap. We're huge fans of the original, and I don't think that anybody that really, really liked the original show saw this new one and thought that they were doing it any kind of creative justice, that they were really doing the right thing by fans. So I guess there you have it. We end this chapter of another kind of franchise that has been destroyed. This one pretty much was already running on fumes for at least this second season. That first season had so many issues and was pretty much unacceptable throughout as well. Uh, if anybody ever, at least there's a historical document. If anybody looks at my reviews, I explain every episode what's wrong with the episode, and I also suggest in the later times, towards the end of season one, suggested that the people from the show speak with me, so, gave them an option to come talk with me, listen to the advice that I've given them, and had they just listened, and I'm not saying this as somebody that's full of myself. It's not that I'm saying that I'm the best writer in the world. I'm saying that they're the worst writers in the world. And when you're the worst, even when somebody is just maybe okay, it's better to listen to the okay person because it's better than nothing. And maybe if they would have listened to me, at least I came from a place that I actually like the franchise and actually implemented some of what I told them. There could have been a way to do some kind of course correction. At least try it. But they didn't have it in them, and they're not creative enough. They're not talented enough. This is just the way the industry works. Failing upwards. J.J. Abrams' third generation disciples. Walking around, getting jobs, bringing all those kind of DEI programs, whatever it is, and then you see the crap that you see. There's really every time. I have yet to see the exception to the rule where all of this happens and it ends up being a good show. I have yet to see it, but I guess that's not the case. And yeah, I will definitely do reviews of The Acolyte. That maybe I'll invest in actual videos with graphics and things like that. Maybe also podcast, these kind of live streams. Sure, I would consider that. But in any case, it's Friday, and I think that this is the time where we all kind of take a step back and go have a nice meal. Maybe those of us who fancy drinks, maybe we have a little toast. This show is going exactly the way that it should have gone, and I highly doubt that somebody else will pick it up. Who knows? In this weird, strange world, I mean, if Netflix picks it up, that'll be really, really bizarre. But I don't see somebody immediately picking it up because I just don't think it's good enough, and I don't think it has a strong enough viewership. But that's just me. Anyhow, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. I want to wish you all a good evening. And should I play my outro song or not? Well, I don't have all the people here. Well, scripts in the comments. Screw it. And you know what? This thing, it'll be an advertisement for the stream we do here on Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern every Thursday, where we go one by one classic episodes of Quantum Leap, and we celebrate them. And it's such a great panel. And if you really like the show, I think that that's a really great place to be. If you're fans of the original, I highly recommend it. I know I'm not objective. I think it's good. And now I'm going to play our outro, which you can see on the show every week at Thursday at 10 p.m. Here you go. I'm